Hello, everybody. Happy Wealth and Wellness Wednesday. Welcome to the Transcend with NNG podcast. I am your host, Brittany Walker, also known as New Nation Goddess. So we are in season 2. It is episode 4, and we're going to be discussing optimal wellness. So learning how to achieve optimal wellness by engaging in positive health outcomes. I'm so excited about this episode today, guys. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So, I like to start off with the I am power statement. I representing inspiration, A representing affirmation, and M representing manifestation. So for today, the I am power statement is I am unlearning past cultural habits and relearning how to truly achieve optimal wellness. Ashe. So I also like to talk about the tea of the day. You guys know I always have a tea in mind. So today I am doing a green tea and Jamaican hibiscus mix. I have a little bit of rose hip, orange peel, lemon peel, cinnamon, ginger, turmeric. Those last 3 are always my fave to put in. And then I have a little bit of oat milk with a little bit of vanilla bean extracted into it. So cheers to you guys. It's still the winter months. We want to make sure that we're keeping our systems clean. We are detoxing our systems as well. We want to make sure that we are removing unwanted toxins and chemicals and even unwanted mucus that might have been broken down from white sugar, white bread, or any type of processed foods. All right, guys. So cheers to you. So today, guys, optimal wellness, we're going to be bringing on an amazing guest today. I want to give you guys some insight on Coach Simbaa Akamaru. He is a vegan weight loss coach, CPT and CNC. All right, guys, he is vegan. I always fight for veganism. So it's so great to have another individual on the show with that type of expertise, but he fights for social justice and for health. And he likes to deal with clients. His ideal client is the one I work out, but I'm not seeing any fat loss results. So I just need somebody to tell me what to eat and what to do. So he is your go-to person for that. So I definitely want to welcome you guys, Coach Simbaa Akamaru. Welcome, Simbaa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful welcome.
Awesome. So I definitely, before we get started in this amazing conversation, I did have the opportunity to ask you, what was your favorite book or the book that influenced you more? Because on each one of our episodes, we have a book reference that aligns with that episode. So can you let the people know what that book is and why you chose that book for today?
So the book that resonates with me the most is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Up until the age of 30, I was very social justice and liberal arts focused. Once I picked that book up, it increased my awareness of business, assets, wealth, wealthy principles, and things of that nature. And it showed me that money it's not fixed. Your class you're not born in the middle class. You're born in the wealthy. You can move through classes by utilizing certain energetic principles. And so it moved me from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset in terms of how I could grow a business, my business, and how I could move forward in my life, creating and allocating assets rather than just working for money. So that book was super empowering to me. And now I'm on my journey, living my truth. I got my own business now, SimbaaFit, SimbaaFit.com. And so, yeah, that book started it all for me.
I love it. When you said growth mindset, that right there just stuck, because we are all about on this podcast, transcending, ascending, elevating to your highest potential, shifting your mind in order to fully conquer what's rightfully already ours. A lot of people say we have to earn our leisure. We have to earn our freedom, but no, we don't. I actually read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I left corporate America the last time and decided to start my business in 2020. And I loved how Robert described his stepdad's point of view of things and then his dad's point of view of things. And like you said, it gives you that difference on what to work with. So thank you for providing that reference. Now, before we get started with this wonderful interview, I want you to please tell the people more about Coach Simbaa, your business. You plug SimbaaFit, so give us some of your information and exactly what you do in full before we start dropping these great old gems. And I don't say what's the tea anymore, I say what's the chai, so we're going to give the people the chai today.
All right, y'all want the straight chai? Let's give y'all the chai.
Yes.
So, hello, folks. My name is Coach Simbaa, and I'm a vegan weight loss specialist. And so my role is to help vegans in their 30s lose up to 30 pounds in 90 days. My clients, they come in because they've been working hard. They have gym memberships. They even know how to use meal plans and track macros sometimes. But it's just like that. It's like, like Amazon. Everyone's like 2 days away from what they're really looking for, With the accountability and the expertise of a coach, you fast track the results that you're trying to get. And so my clients see results through coaching, meal planning, and really shifting, like we said earlier, from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So I teach my clients up until this point, you have not been able to achieve things, but from here on out, and then we apply certain principles, and then they're able to achieve those type of results. I started SimbaaFit last year. I became a nutrition coach and a personal trainer after I became a men's physique competitor. I went on my own little weight loss journey. I did like 4 weight loss transformations. And upon the 4th one, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should get certified in this and become an expert. And so I went and became a nutrition coach. I furthered my education, became a personal trainer. And then I competed in men's physique in 2021. I did 2 competitions. I got first place in my debut category. I was like, wow. I went from very insecure of, can I do this, to, oh my gosh, I have a medal. And then someone from a different federation reached out to me. She was like, hey, do you want to compete in another show in 2 weeks? And I was like, okay. And so then I had a couple more medals. And so the last few years for me has just been incredible in terms of like what I've been able to accomplish, mainly mentally, fixed to growth mindset, but in my body, in my business, and what that knowledge has been able to allow me to do for other people. And if you're vegan in your 30s, you're looking to lose up to 20 to 30 pounds in 90 days. That's what I can do for you. So yeah, SimbaFit.com. Let me know. SimbaFit on Instagram as well.
I love it, love it, love it. First of all, you touched on something very important. I love that you're tapping into the demographics of the 30s, because I didn't go vegan until I was in my 30s, and I was blessed to be able to lose 80 pounds. And that was before I even included like fitness. It was just like you said, shifting your mind, shifting the way that you eat, shifting the way that you think and the way that you operate. So I love that you're focusing on that, because when I was in my 30s, I'm like, this weight not moving like when I was in my 20s. Like I can go, do this and then go run for a little bit and then I'll be back to my regular size. But, once we get to a certain age, hormones start acting different. Your body is not functioning the way it once was, prior. So I love that you're focusing on that demographic. So gratitude, I just want to take a moment to honor you. I like to honor the experts that I bring onto the show, because you are giving us your gift. You know what your purpose is, and you're here to serve a more sustainable society. So I just want to honor you and give you kudos, because we need you. We need you in this world. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, when you plugged your Instagram, for those of you who are watching on Spotify and YouTube, you can see the full video, so you are able to see Simbaa's name. I am going to put his information also in the description of this episode for those of you who don't see the video. So Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor. Can you please spell out your SimbaaFit? Because I don't want some people to leave off a letter or anything. I want to make sure they can find you correctly.
Yes. So my name is spelled Simbaa. I have 2 A's at the end of my name. So SimbaaFit is SimbaaFit. So Simbaa with 2 A's. No baby lions. They can't help you with maybe they can help you with your weight loss. I don't know if they can, but I can help you with your vegan weight loss. So Simbaa with 2 A's.
I love it. Yes. Let's get started. So what situation led you to pursue a vegan lifestyle?
I think that I was primed for a vegan lifestyle before I learned about veganism. And if I could just give you some of the, maybe call it the spores or the gases that I was inhaling, that kind of put this into my mindset. Around the time, 2017 was when I went vegan. I was in a shift. I was 27 at the time, and I became more social justice oriented. I was a diversity trainer in my town, so I went and I did trainings on upstander to bystander to upstander training. So if you see hate and bias in the community, how do you intervene? And I also did allies and advocacy as a training. So I would teach people how they can become allies to folks who are not like themselves. How can you be an ally to the LGBT community or to people of color? Things like that. That's what my world was. It was social justice. And that was sparked. Can you speak politics on here, or should you just keep it general?
Oh, no, you can speak on anything that you would like. Absolutely.
Okay. So when Trump became president, I was down in Rochester, Minnesota. The Diversity Council got so many calls from people who were afraid of their citizenship. There's so much hate towards folks of the Islam faith, Judaism, what's it called? When you're racist against Jewish people.
Yeah.
All that stuff was like going crazy. And the Diversity Council got all those calls. So this was a very conservative town. Mayo Clinic is the place where everybody works, but around it is a city covered in fields. And so you have that type of mindset, right? So I'm all social justice. One day I'm driving home and my cousin's like, bro, you got to see this documentary called Cowspiracy. It's about, I don't know what he told me it was about. I was like, yeah, whatever, dude, it's fine. So for the last however many years, I'm deeply in my feelings. I'm on the front line of social justice in every single way that I believe that I know how. I'm on the Parks and Rec board of my community. I'm on the Diversity Council board. We just named a park, Martin Luther King Park at that time, you know, all these things. And then I sit down, I'm like, okay, whatever, it's a movie about cows or something. I don't know what's happening, right? I get 13 minutes into the documentary and I'm like, damn it, I got to go vegan. It wasn't like, oh, I got to go. It was just like, wow, I didn't even know what speciesism was. I had no idea about, I didn't know about environmental racism to like that extent of like where people live and their, you know, like things like that, how deep it was. And then once I saw the connection to speciesism as a framework of isms and how that is the same mindset that keeps all different entity groups locked in their bondages in certain ways, I was like, okay, I am now vegan. I had no idea what all the vegan beliefs were, and I didn't know what to eat tomorrow, but I was like, yeah, I'm vegan now. So that's how my vegan went. It was for social justice. And then I found a specific love for the animals.
I love it. I love it. You and I have a similar story. So I went vegan August 13th, 2016. I'm sorry, 2017. And the way that happened.
That was the year of the vegan. It literally said 2017 is the year of the vegan. Both of us, yeah.
Yes. And so I was watching What the Health. And somebody had told me, you need to watch What the Health. So I started watching it. And like you said, by the end, I literally got up, threw everything out my refrigerator, everything out my pantry. And then the next day I was like, wait, do I only eat French fries and salad? Like, what am I doing? Right. And then later I go to New Orleans. I have family from Louisiana. And I'm like, I eat crawfish, I eat gumbo, I eat alligator. Like, what am I supposed to eat? And then I found a vegan Cajun restaurant. And then after that, it was like, oh yeah, I have no worries. So I love that you did it for the social justice. After What the Hell, Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives. I watched Seaspiracy this year. And those are very important documentaries that I try to encourage people to watch, not to scare tactic you, not to try to force you to be vegan, but just for you to see that we love chicken in our culture, or we love oxtails, or we love all these things that we don't really realize what these animals are going through. A cow can't stop and say, hey, you're chafing my nipples, stop pumping milk, because that's causing the pus and the blood and things to go into the dairy. You know, the animals cannot say you're hurting me because you're raping me to make me have more animals so that you could produce more food. So I love that we started on very similar ways. So moving forward, how important is it for you to tend to your other wellness factors? Most people hear wellness and they just think it's physical. They don't think about the emotional, the mental, or the spiritual form. So can you give me some insight on why that is important to tend to all of those factors and not just the physical form?
So I don't know how many people are like anime people who watch your show, but if they've ever heard of a show called Soul Eater, one of the great quotes is, a sound soul dwells within a sound mind, within a sound body. And essentially, that quote just means you got to have everything aligned. In a previous life, I was in the mental health world. And so in that world, I would tell people, well, you're going to have to move more and eat better. Now I'm over here in the wellness world and I'm helping people move more and eat better, but they still need to listen to their therapist and do those type of things. So if the mind controls everything. And the truth is, it's at the time of this podcast, it's December. We're in Sagittarius and things are dead and they're dying. The rebirth comes in the spring. Everybody's going to start to feel a blanket of some type, you can call it depression. That's a clinical word, but you're going to feel your energy level down, right? Yeah. So it's going to make sense that you're not going to be able to move the way you want. You might not consume the food the way you want, right? All that stuff works together. And so one of the beauties of either training with other people or either training with a coach or professional is sometimes when your energy is maybe closer to a 1 or 2, you can use the energy and potentiation of someone else. Whether it's a personal trainer or a nutrition coach, maybe it's a therapist, a massage therapist, a friend, it's someone else. So tending to your wellness, it's an integrative thing. You need to tend to your mind, your spirit, and your body. But we're also socially embedded creatures, so you also need to keep those connections with others. You can keep all those things rolling, which we are all trying to do all the time, and it's challenging and doable. Yeah, that's what it is. It's juggling 4 balls at the same time for the rest of your life, and you can do it.
I love it. I love it. One thing I noticed is once I did go vegan, and it's from, again, similarities. You mentioned in a past life you had mental health issues. Same with me. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder, and it was to the point that once I was completely...
Hey, that's what's up. Me too. For self-disclosure. What's going on? Yeah.
Yes. So then I got to the point where my psychiatrist was mad. Like, what? You feel like you don't need this anymore? Yes, you need it. No, you want me to still have your pharmaceuticals so that you could get paid, and then these companies continue to get paid. I noticed that as I ate better, I had more equilibrium within my body. I noticed that things that affected me more in the past, me using the tools that I got from my psychologist and my therapist, was very useful. And it was easier for me to get through those things on my own and conquer where I don't have mental illness anymore. And people don't take into effect, besides just food and nutrition, because we're both on that nutrition side, things like makeup, your toiletries, the toilet tissue that you use. All those things have chemicals in it. Shampoo, anything that you're putting on your body, moisturizer, soap, those things have chemicals in it, and they tend to go to your brain quicker. And especially with us being melanated people, we have a larger pineal gland, meaning that our creativity and our power is fire when we mix that with sun and vitamin D and natural foods. But if we are continue putting products in our body that's going to make that pineal gland not function at its top capacity, then that is where mental illness can come in and kind of conquer what you have going on. So I love that you touched on that. What do you feel like?
Absolutely. And if I could just make a few points. So in a past life, I was a mental health practitioner. I was in grad school to become a mental health therapist. I was working toward becoming a licensed therapist. And so I was working in the field. But two, I do want to say thank you for disclosing your mental health as well. There's a huge stigma about mental health. And so the fact that you're able to share it on your podcast with your folks, that's super cool. And then number 3, I was like, yeah, that's what's up. I also experienced the world through a lens of bipolar myself. And I've been through therapy. I went to therapy for about 1.5 years. Went through the processes, did what she told me step by step. And I'm finding success on the other side. So yeah, kudos. Thank you for disclosing your mental health and my mental health as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for being so open and vulnerable as well, because like you said, it is a stigma. So it's important that we have these conversations so people are more comfortable. I don't know what it is in our culture that you can't let nobody know what we have going on, or don't rely on anybody else. And granted, there are some therapists that are not the best therapists. They're all about the money or the numbers. But there are really genuine people out there that are really trying to help you. And if you really pay attention to their tools and resources that they're giving you, it can really help you out drastically. So for those of you, you know that I do listener mail. So if any of you would like to write anonymously to us, we'll be more than happy to give you referrals or resources that if you do want to find a therapist, but you might not want to discuss that with family or friends or people that might ridicule your process, then we'll be more than happy to give references as well.
Yes, absolutely. And working in the mental health field previously, I do have people in my network who directly do take referrals and things. So if you are looking for mental health services, you can still reach out to me. Go to SimbaaFit.com. You can get, or I'll just give you my email address, Coach Simbaa with 2 A's at SimbaaFit.com. And I can put you in contact with them. And the people in my network, like I told you in Rochester, I'm pretty progressive. So my contacts, they're LGBT focused, they're minority focused, they're social justice focused therapists. And they also focus on folks who may or may not be cisgender and things of that nature. So I do have a variety of referrals as well. So yeah, let me know. And I can also just talk to you about my experience if you're just like, hey, what's going on? How did you handle it? How am I handling it? You know? So.
Love, love, love. Yes, guys, I'm going to drop all of that information in the description as well. I love that how you notice he pointed out the demographics that this podcast focuses on. So just to give you a heads up, Simbaa, we focus on the underrepresented. So it's people of color, women, LGBTQ plus, veterans, and individuals with disabilities, because for some reason we get put in this box that, you know, we may not be able to do any. And I identify with all of them. I'm married to a veteran, but everything else, I'm a woman of color. I am a lesbian. I have former disabilities. So I am really, really big on making sure that we all come together and we rise up as a culture, and not just, you know, women by themselves over here or Black people over here.
Right.
I want us to come together. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We can really make some things happen in our economy.
And if anybody's curious about where Coach Simbaa is, go to the far left and then take 3 steps off the far left. That's where I'm at. So I don't know if you can feel comfortable. Like if you're like over on the far left, you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm a nutrition coach and I'm a personal trainer, but I'm also over on the left with the rest of y'all. So yeah.
Exactly. I love that.
I feel comfortable here. I like it.
I love it. What do you feel like is your the biggest misconception about being vegan? A lot of people have their ideas about what veganism is, but I would love to hear from your perspective. So some people might be able to relate and say, okay, now I can overcome this fear or this stigma of what veganism truly is.
I believe the biggest misconception about veganism is that being vegan equals healthy. Like I told you my story about being vegan. I was like, oh yeah, it came from an idealism perspective. After I became vegan, then I had to go back and watch food-based documentaries about health, but still I was learning about nutrition and where plants came from in the environment. I wasn't learning about macronutrients, proteins, carbs, and fats, what I should be eating, what should I be putting in my body, in what balance. And as a result of that, I became skinny fat. I don't know if you understand what that is, but like when you start to either gain or maintain your same body weight, but you lose your muscle. So you lose tone and definition, and you start, it had a psychological effect on me. Now, I already told you that I had bipolar. At the time that I went vegan, I didn't know that I experienced the world through a bipolar lens, right? So at this time, I'm vegan. I was 12% of the population as African American. Now I'm like 3% of the population, right? I'm in social justice. So like I'm getting arrows, or I feel like I was an anemone and all the goo was falling off of me. So I was getting stung all the time. That's a good way of saying it. I was constantly being stung. So my mindset was just like ridiculous. And I had no idea what I should be eating. My health was not great. I didn't look terrible, but I did not like the way I looked. And I fell into depression, right? I was trying to put stuff together I saw on Instagram or Facebook, stuff that looked delicious, but it had high carbs, lots of calories, almost no protein. And then some of the high protein foods that I've seen people making, like you can't eat that every day, and you're not going to eat it for every meal. So not knowing what to be doing and coming in from a social justice, because some people come in from an animal perspective or just the environment perspective. But I think when you go vegan, you're essentially leaving the anemone, all the goose falling off of you. You're kind of swimming in open waters. Restaurants don't cater to you. Most people don't understand you, right? So this is a great time to, learn about health, but it's also a good time to reprogram, like, how do you eat food on a daily, meal-y basis? And so that's one of the great things about nutrition coaching is that you're able to see the world from a different perspective. You're eating new food. And in my programs, I also have a course called How to Go Vegan, which I kind of teach you how to increase plants in your diet so you don't have to do what I did and just go overnight and then be like, oh, what do I eat for the rest of my life? And then no one else went vegan, so everybody was like, why? And now I'm kind of just like suffering. I have this ideal mindset of I'm suffering for the planet, you know what I mean? And then I took it too much dogma. Now I'm just like, I don't care if you like vegan or not. I'm going to eat my food and I'm going to keep going, So just make sure you learn how to eat. You can't put the gas mask on the world, not the gas mask, the oxygen mask on the world before you put it on yourself. So if you don't know what to eat every day, that's what you got to do when you go vegan. Learn how to eat again. You're a toddler.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you touched on that vegan does not equal healthy. After I went vegan, I had the opportunity to work for a holistic doctor in Houston, Texas. And that was the biggest thing that he pushed. Veganism, eating all this processed food, that doesn't mean anything. You have to be plant-based. You have to be plant-based. And I'm like, well, what's the difference? But I started learning the difference. And a couple of weeks ago, maybe almost a month, I reposted a reel on my Instagram. I can't remember her first and last name, but it's the woman who played Felicia on the movie Friday. And she's explaining that veganism is going to hit a really, really bad issue in several years because all of these up and coming vegan restaurants are promoting processed food. And a lot of these processed meats still have chemicals, carcinogens, things in it that has to make it sustain on, or have shelf life or sustainability. So we have to still be more mindful of what we're putting in our body. You mentioned about how you dropped all your weight and then you start losing your muscle mass. That's what happened. When I hit those 80 pounds, I was like, yes, I'm out of the 200s. I'm in the 120s. And then I'm like, wait, but you look like, like what happened to your arms? What happened to your obliques? Like I had nothing. So again, like you said, having to know what you should eat. What are healthy forms of plant protein? What are healthy forms of complex carbs? What are healthy forms of, oils or fats, are macronutrients. People don't realize like nuts and kale or collard greens and things of that sort have more protein in it than actual meat has. So just know.
And one thing that people, if I could just say one thing.
Yeah, sure.
So coming at the veganism from the social justice perspective, it seems to me, is my opinion, but the standard American diet, all these things are a product of white supremacy. So as you go harder vegan, as you read like, what's the one by T. Colin Campbell, the China Study, right? You start to realize that when colonization happened, the dietary preferences of one culture was spread across the planet to people who didn't need it, didn't want it, and things weren't supposed to be there. And that caused a lot of complications. As you go vegan and you start to figure out where do I get my protein doesn't have to be just a slab of flesh. Protein's in everything. And in order to have a whole food plant-based meal properly comprised, a little bit it comes from everywhere. You're getting some protein from your seeds. You're getting some protein from your greens. And then you start to see the world holistically. Your meal looks more holistically. Your body becomes more balanced. So in a lot of ways, you start to see the world in a more balanced, holistic perspective. And you're not just worried about one nutrient, but you're trying to get a balance of all of them. And the protein will be there when everything else is there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I wasn't even going to go this far, but you tapped into it. So I'm like, let's get into it. You mentioned
not to. That's why I said it's a safe place. You're like, yeah. I said, okay, go to the far left and fall off. Here we go.
And I'm going to fall with you, and then we still going to keep dropping this shy. But I love that you mentioned white supremacy. One thing, I was a big Beyond Meat person when I first went vegan, and I refuse to eat Beyond Meat now because it's owned by...
Are you about to tell me something? I got him in the freezer. Should I eat something first, and then we talk about this in a minute? I'm just kidding.
So Bill Gates owns Beyond Meat. We know that Bill Gates is infamously known for all these great things, Microsoft, this and that, but he's also known for a form of white supremacy in so many ways. He's buying up all the farmland. He's buying up all the resources that are associated with the agricultural revolution. He's pushing this healthier form of eating, but it's being pushed upon our community more than anything. The spokespeople, the restaurants, everything are all Black and Hispanic owned, that he's pushing for that. So for me, it's like you're putting it in front of our people. Like, we have to consume this. We have to eat this. But there are many cases where people are coming that they are getting deathly ill. They're getting really, really sick after consuming Beyond Meat consecutively for 5 or 6 years at a time. So just even things like that may not be privy to, we might just want to hone in on more. Where's this product coming from? Where is it going to?
Okay. I'm being enlightened and educated. I appreciate, thank you. For, like, in real life, I have Beyond breakfast sausages. They're quick, they're convenient, whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I now have to make more informed decisions moving forward into my meal planning, of course. But thank you for letting me know. Now that I know, I can do better. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And if you are consuming Beyond products, whether you could continue to or not, just check the fat content. You'll see the proteins there. You get like 19, 20, 21 grams of protein, but there's also a high level of saturated fat. So they aren't necessarily macronutrient friendly. They are tasty and delicious. And now we know they're tied to environmental injustice.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy because you'll look up these companies and see who own them. But when you talk to those people and see what they eat, they don't even eat their own product. And that for me is so you can't eat it.
I make my own meal. I eat the meal plans that I make for my clients each week.
Right.
I'm like, well, how do I know if it tastes good?
How can I give real advice or push out a product if I'm not utilizing it myself? So just things like that. So I love that you mentioned that just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy. I've had people come back at me because when I first went vegan, I kind of went too hard. I was like, forget you if you're not going vegan. I was one of those people. Like,
me too.
I really was.
We must have been at the same protest. I must have missed you. I was so angry over the other side. You must have been over there mad too.
Yeah, exactly. But it's set on me and I'm like, okay, it was a bit aggressive, but I had people, come back for me and say, well, before you gained a lot of weight, you were always skinny. So that's why it was easy for you to lose weight. You could be vegan and you could be overweight and you could be obese. And I'm like, that's kind of defeating the purpose. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you because you're obese, because I've been obese before too, but obesity is the gateway drug to all other illnesses. It's like people say weed is the gateway drug to this. No, obesity is literally the gateway drug to all of these illnesses that are associated with diet, chronic illnesses that are really killing off our culture and hindering our culture. So I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being BBW, but at the same token, we are just promoting healthy forms of eating, getting rid of visceral fat, getting rid of fat that's control, like that's keeping the mucus surrounded around your body, so that that mucus over time will give you the flu. It will give you a cold. It can develop into cancer. So I think that's the misconception as well, that besides vegan eating healthy, that it's a vegan battle between people that are maybe more slim or athletic build versus BBW, and it could be a war between that, and we shouldn't have anything.
There's too much in. There's so much in. We're down to 3%. We still had the same infighting. You know what I mean? Like, as vegans, we need to get our stuff together. We need to collect ourselves.
Absolutely. So what do you feel like is the number one comment you get when people ask, how did you transform your body, or with you being vegan? For those of you who can't see, right now, I am going to put out pictures once this episode airs, and you can see Simba's before and after, so you will have a better understanding. Of those of you who go to his website or his Instagram, you'll be able to see his body transformation. So I love your transformation. So can you just let me know, like, what is maybe the number one comment or maybe the number one question you might get asked?
So the number one thing people say is like, really, you're vegan? The fact that I'm vegan is the question. Like, they're like, you're vegan? I'm like, yes. Yeah. So, kind of like what you were saying about the weight loss, and we're talking about the health and things like that. The thing that got me on the weight loss transformation was I had body dysmorphia. Most of my life, I was husky as a kid, and I lost weight when I was athletic in like middle of high school, but I never had good habits. So my body weight would go up, and I have to focus and get it down. And then after the season of sports was over, I didn't know what I was doing, and I gained weight back. Yeah. And so I didn't have a great build before, but then I went vegan, and then my body weight, I just didn't like the way I looked. And so as a male and as a grown man, feeling small or weak plays a lot of different triggers in your head, you know, of your masculinity, like your own security. And like if I'm on the front lines preaching about this or proselytizing or whatever I was doing at that time, I was yelling from a soapbox and I didn't feel good about myself. And like visually, people didn't look at me and feel inspired, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I was when I was vegan. And then I was still vegan in that before photo. And then throughout the entire 12 weeks that I prepped and I trained and I grinded my ass off, I was still vegan. But I was vegan with a different mindset. I was just as vegan. I just had a new skill set that I learned. I learned portion control. I learned how to wake up. I learned how to increase my water intake. I learned how to mindfully eat, avoid food even when I was hungry. Not to kill myself, but just to have some discipline. I learned self-discipline is what I learned. And so that's the main thing. You can be vegan and look amazing. You can be vegan and feel and still be amazing, even if society doesn't say you look amazing. But if you feel confident in your diet, it's because you have the skill set to do it for the long haul. So that's what I said.
I love it. I love it. It's funny that you said, wait, you're vegan? Because that's how it was at first. The other thing for me is I was always really skinny growing up. I used to be made fun of, called bullied for being skinny. I was olive oil. I was this. So in my head, I'm like,
damn, I've heard that from people calling other females olive oil. That's not funny, but like interesting. I've heard it again.
It's crazy. And so I was raised in Houston, Texas. So being from the South, most of the women are curvy. They have hips and ass and thighs. And, you know, people think of Houston, they think everybody walking around looking like Beyonce or everybody walking around looking like Debbie Allen from back in the day. And I'm like,
everybody has to jump to get their jeans on is what I heard.
Exactly. We all do have to jump, even us slim, thick ones. Yes, we do. So with doing that, you know, I felt like for me, when I did transform, a lot of people were saying, oh, so what, you know, diet pills did you take? You know, you don't have to lie. You know, you could do, you know, imposter syndrome and tell people on Instagram that you did this, but what did you really do? And I took that as very offensive, like, no, guys, it was really tough to just eat right and try to let go of the things that I grew up eating. Before I became a nutritionist, I was a chef for 10 years and I owned my own restaurant. So
that's what's up.
It's a hard shift from putting heavy cream and butter in everything and then trying to figure out like the best way to eat things. So I love that you tapped on that people are shocked. But even like, just to go back to the previous question, even traveling, you still have to be careful again of what you eat, because if you're going, like if you're on a road trip and you're in between states, you only really have like Taco Bell, McDonald's. So you got to try to figure out what you can eat to hold you over until you can get here. But then even going to a new city, like when I went to Atlanta or Vegas or LA, I went crazy. I wasn't worried about the plant-based foods. Give me fried ribs, give me fried chicken. I want donuts. I want this. So I just want to put that out there. Just because you see all these great things in regards to food doesn't mean you have to eat that food. My recommendation for being vegan is figure out what your favorite foods are and try to figure out how to eat that vegan first. And then everything else. Veganize it. If you veganize your food, if you veganize it, they will come.
It will. If anyone who's listening to this is interested, I do have a free course. It's called 9 Steps to Going Vegan. Just email me at Coach Simbaa or SimbaaFit.com or find me on Instagram and I'll send it to you. It's a free course. It helps you veganize foods. It's like 6 steps to do it. And then I have some mindful exercises. And then also I have a eating on the go roadmap. Email me, just say you want that. I can send that to you for free. Also, I got tons of free resources for vegans, folks who are looking to just increase their plants, whole food, plant-based, whatever you're looking for, just to help it make it easier. I struggled along the way. You don't have to, especially when you're on the road, especially this time of year. Right. I also have a healthy eating guide for the holidays. If you're curious about that, email me or hit me on Instagram. I'll send you that resource for free. I want people to do this and for it to be easy.
I love it. I love it. So guys, again, I'm going to put his information in the description. You see, there's resources out there. There's tools where you don't have to figure it out. Like he and I had to do it the hard way. We were pretty much like the trailblazer in our group or our family or friends. So we're trying to make things easier for you. So this is why I'm bringing on these
hardest way.
That's why I'm bringing on these great experts, guys, so we can learn how to elevate. All right. So how does veganism contribute to a sustainable society?
So ideally, like right in this cloud bubble, everybody goes vegan. The planet cools off. The animals are no longer harmed. There's more land and there's more space and things like that. Well, I'm a millennial. I'm 32 years old. I was born in 1990. Mm-hmm. I see millennials as gatekeepers between the old world and the new, right? We're born in the 1900s, before the turn of the century. We grew up at the turn of the century, and now here we are. So we still have the old ways about ourselves, and there's new ways that are coming. So I feel like as vegans, ideally and realistically, our goals are to get our individual health in order. When one person says, okay, I'm not going to eat this, and they start to change their lifestyle, other people start to see the health benefits, the weight loss results, more energy, etc. And then they get curious and then they ask about it. It's not sustainable it's not realistic to assume that the world is going to change overnight. Right. Even though with COVID, when everybody went inside, the world kind of changed overnight. The clouds just roll back and things look very clean. It's like, oh, wow, if we just cleaned up our stuff, maybe things could be different. But realistically, everyone taking individual action to clean up not necessarily your diet is, and don't eat clean or healthy, but take more agency in building your skills. When I first went vegan, I was like, oh, now I have to go and tell everyone else to go vegan so that the globe will be different. Right. If I were to do it again, once you go vegan, now you look at yourself and say, what am I supposed to eat? If I can eat better and I can have a better lifestyle, I can help other people achieve their potential too. I don't have to necessarily say anything about it, right? Not telling you not to talk about it, but I'm just saying, if we stay in our lanes and focus on increasing our individual vibrations, it becomes sustainable. If we go out and we start telling people about it, but we don't know we're eating, and then we fall into the trap of, shoot, now I'm eating stuff I'm not supposed to be eating because I put these restrictions on myself. Now you're stressed socially. Now you're not getting your nutrients. It becomes a clusterfuck, to be honest. So figuring out your nutrition, then you have more confidence to approach any situation. So sustainability, vegans, take care of your nutrition and know what you're supposed to eat for every individual meal.
Great advice. Great advice. So guys, we just want to go ahead and recap for this episode. So again, this is Optimal Wellness. We're tapping on the 8 frequencies of elevation created by myself, New Nation Goddess. This is frequency number 3, which is optimal wellness. Not just physical wellness, but mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness is essential on this Good Wealth and Wellness Wednesday. So listener mail, if you would like to reply to this episode, you could do so directly on Spotify or on YouTube if you're watching the video. If not, I will be putting both my email, info@nngconsulting.org. That's N as in new, N as in nation, and G as in goddess, consulting.org. And also Coach Simbaa at SimbaaFit.com. I will have both of our information in there. And we want to make sure that you like our podcast. Subscribe to our website to keep up with the latest news, resources, and events that we have going on. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Before I give the closing remarks, Coach Simbaa, is there any additional information that you would like to give to our wonderful listeners?
Yes. If you are vegan and in your 30s, and you're looking to lose up to 30 pounds in 90 days or even beyond, you don't need to put necessarily a time limit on it, but my programs start at 3 months because that's the amount of time you can see that amount of results. Prior to that, it's very difficult to do that and sustain it. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you're a brand new vegan and you're looking for healthier tips and habits, please reach out to me at SimbaaFit on Instagram, SimbaaFit.com, or Coach Simbaa at SimbaaFit.com.
Love, love, love. So again, guys, we're just trying to contribute to a sustainable environment. Like he said, spread globally and just really, really hone in on what's going to be best for not only our bodies, but for our planet, because we need Earth. We got to give Earth its love in order for us to continue utilizing the natural resources. You got to remember that everything is already on this planet that we need. We don't have to make anything based on chemicals. We don't have to get in the lab and create something. Everything that we need is directly from Mother Earth. All right. So we just want to manifest a positive, productive, and peaceful remainder of the day, guys. And thank you for tuning in. Gratitude. And we'll be talking to you guys soon. Peace.